in the best of times, you walk me through my darkest days. Why must I turn around? I ask myself.
You are my forever and always, a love that stretches beyond the stars, beyond time. Nothing in this lifetime, or the next, can dim the light of my love for you. It burns eternal, fierce, and true. I have made a vow, sealed with my heart, to give all of me, every piece, every part. I promise, in whispers and in silence, to tell you I love you through joy and through trials, even in the darkest moments when storms surround us. I promise to let go of anger, even on the days when the weight of the world presses down. You, my lover, my best friend, I will be your constant, your support, your strength. Let's keep growing, entwined in this beautiful dance, laughing, playing, like children lost in time. Each day with you is a deeper love, more than I ever knew back then, a love that's only just begun to bloom. My everlasting kindred spirit, my heart's deepest desire. You are my forever, my always, and I am yours. Sitting here, biting my lips, the thought of you consumes me. I can't wait for you to walk through that door. The ache inside me is building, a slow, sweet tension just waiting for you to release. You've always had a way of lifting me effortlessly, and I love that you know I'm no delicate thing. I want to give you everything, to feel you close, your eyes chasing every inch of me, and when your fingers graze my lips, it sends shivers down my spine. Your touch, teasing me as my body responds, your fingers dancing side to side until the pleasure becomes almost unbearable. My breath catches as you lower me onto the bed, your hands with sweet pressure, just enough to make me feel weightless like I'm floating. I can't control the way my body reacts, the heat spreading, my voice breaking into soft whimpers, you smiling as your fingers find the rhythm again after the satisfaction that leaves me trembling in your hands. I was in love with you from the moment our paths intertwined. You were the love I never thought I'd find, a hidden treasure, a whispered dream, the answer to every silent wish I had ever breathed. I wanted to grow old with you, to walk hand in hand through the sands of time, to share in the quiet moments, the laughter, the tears, to watch the world change, but never us. We'd remain constant, an unbroken bond, and if there was truth in reincarnation, if life could be lived once more, I'd choose you in every lifetime, to love you all over again, to rediscover the joy, the wonder of you in every heart, in every breath, forever anew.
I woke up from a dream, my body aching, frustration pooling between my legs. A pulsating warmth spread through me, my legs crossing instinctively. I looked to my right, half dazed, searching for clarity, then to my left where you lay, your body radiating heat. A comforting presence in the morning light. I could still feel the remnants of the dream, the storm that left me damp and wanting. I reached over, my fingers grazing your neck. My touch gentle but insistent, letting you know that I needed you. I wanted you to share this moment and let it unfold. You stirred, your eyes slowly opening, catching my gaze, and I saw your lips curve into a knowing smile. This was one of those times, one of those rare moments when everything seemed perfect. You responded, pulling me closer, the heat building between us. It was pure, undiluted desire, and for that fleeting while, nothing else mattered. These moments, though as beautiful as they were, couldn't erase the weight of everything else. The good was there, vivid and full of life, but the shadow still loomed, making it impossible to forget what lay beneath our fragile bliss. The more we made love, the more my heart whispered that I had made the right choice. In those moments, nothing else mattered. It was just you and me, wrapped in warmth and passion, each touch reminding me that I belonged here with you. Your arms were my sanctuary, your gaze my reassurance. With every kiss, every sigh, I felt my soul come alive, free of doubt, overflowing with certainty. In this life, I realized there was no fear of forever, only the desire to spend each remaining day with you, loving you completely, without hesitation. A new life forming inside me, a spark of warmth, of meaning, filling my soul. I could feel my purpose blooming, a reason to rise each day. I was nervous, full of anticipation, but above all, I felt joy. My world was about to change forever. I have now given birth to our child. The room filled with tears, laughter, and awe. She was our miracle, her tiny body cradled close to my chest. I watched as you held her for the first time, and in that moment, I believed. I saw your eyes soften, your lips curve into a smile, genuine pride radiating from you. It seemed as if everything we had gone through, all the ups and downs, had finally led us here, to this perfect, innocent love. Our daughter was a new beginning, a bond that we shared, something beautiful that could never be taken away. I confronted you again, another one, a younger one, Miss Beauty pageant. You tried to weave excuses as if they could hold us together. Every story you spun was just a desperate attempt to patch the holes you had torn open. It wasn't what it looked like, you said, your voice shaking. You claimed she was just a mistake, that the nights she spent with you didn't mean anything. You said you had been lonely, that you were confused, that you didn't know why it happened. You tried to shift the blame, make me think it was circumstance, that it was something beyond your control. Again, the weight of betrayal settled into my chest like a stone, cold, heavy, and suffocating. I remember the way my hands trembled, the pit that opened up in my stomach. I remembered how your eyes looked as you pleaded with me, tears running down your cheeks. You told me you loved me more than anyone, that you couldn't lose me. Please, things will change, you whispered, your hands trembling as they reached out for me. You painted a picture of a future I wanted to believe in, where things would be different, where you would be the man you promised me you were. The excuses he gave were endless, each one more desperate than the last, like he was grasping at anything to make the lies seem less ugly. He looked me in the eyes and said, "She means nothing to me. I was drunk and it was a mistake." He tried to paint the situation as some meaningless lapse in judgment, like alcohol had taken over and he had no control. He held my hand, trying to convince me it was a one-time error that they teamed would never repeat. Then he said, "I was lonely and you were away." He tried to put the blame on the distance between us, using my absence as an excuse for why he turned to someone else. He made it sound as if the emptiness he felt without me was unbearable, as if his only option was to fill that void with someone else's warmth. He framed it like he was the victim of distance, of longing, and he wanted me to believe that if I had been there, none of it would have happened. He goes on to say, "She came on to me. I didn't even want it." He made her sound like the pursuer, like he was some helpless target of her attention, unable to turn her away. He said he tried to push her off, but she was persistent, and it just happened. He painted himself as the unwilling participant, trying to make me think he never wanted to betray me. But circumstances got out of his control. And when he was truly desperate, he said, "The child isn't mine." He swore he would take a DNA test, told me he was sure she was lying, that she was only trying to trap him. He promised it wasn't true, that he would prove it to me. He wanted me to hold on to that sliver of doubt, to give him the benefit of the doubt. He knew it was a lie, but he said it anyway, hoping I would cling to the possibility and not walk away. Hold on though, what child? So there's another one. Each excuse was a layer of deceit, an attempt to cover the cracks in our relationship. He wanted to keep me from seeing the truth, to keep me from leaving, but with every excuse, the distance between us only grew. The lies piled up until they were too heavy to carry, and no excuse could make up for the damage that had already been done. His sister was his greatest ally, his confidant, his cover, his shield. She played her role perfectly, always there to back up his stories, always ready with a reassuring smile. She became an extension of his lies, another piece in his intricate web of deceit. She looked me in the eyes and spoke with a sincerity that made me believe every word. "You have nothing to worry about," she said, her voice calm and soothing. "He loves you more than anything." She would tell me how lucky he was to have me, how he talked about me all the time. Her words were comforting, and I wanted to believe them, wanted to believe that I was truly part of the family. There were times when I would come to her with my doubts, the gnawing feeling in my gut that something wasn't right. She would listen patiently, nodding, her face showing understanding. And then she would tell me I was overthinking it. She said, "He's a good man. He wouldn't do that to you." She was so convincing, so genuine, that I found myself questioning my own instincts. She promised me that everything was fine, that I was imagining things. She even hugged me, whispering that she loved me like her own sister, that she would always have my back. But behind her comforting words, behind that warm smile, there was a different reality. She knew the truth, knew the lies he was telling me, but she chose to stand by him. She chose to protect him instead of being honest with me. She covered for him when he was out with someone else, telling me he was busy with work or that he was with her. She became an accomplice, her loyalty to him stronger than any care she claimed to have for me. It was a betrayal that cut just as deeply as his. I had trusted her and leaned on her during my most vulnerable moments. She looked me in the eyes and lied. She was the one who reassured me when I felt lost. The one who made me believe that the doubts I had were unfounded. She made me feel like I was paranoid, like I was the one who needed to change, to trust more and to let go of my fears. I realized that her loyalty wasn't about me or even about what was right. It was about family, about protecting him at any cost, even if it meant watching me break. She chose to be his supporter, to play her part in his deception, and in doing so, she became a part of the pain he caused me. The love she professed for me was hollow, just another lie to keep me where they wanted me, unaware and hopeful. It was a betrayal from someone I thought was in my corner, and it hurt. Those hypocrites, they all knew. They smiled in my face, all while pretending everything was fine, like our marriage was perfect. I want to knock myself out for letting wretch like you waste my time with lies, with disgrace and embarrassment. They were all in it. All your friends, family, and even the ones I called besties, sister. The truth they hid from me became the knife that twisted deeper in my heart when I finally learned it. But what broke me more than anything was my own family. They knew, and they used your infidelities to shame me, to hurt me further when things went wrong. They didn't protect me. They didn't comfort me. They turned it into another weapon to use against me in the moments of anger. And I felt the stinging of betrayal once more. They all smiled at me, acknowledging you as my husband, laughing with you, pouring wine and sharing food with you. making me believe that we were all one big family, united together, but that too was a lie. Thinking, the hurt runs deeper than words can express. How could you say you loved me and then betray me in every way imaginable? Don't tell me you're sorry. Don't say it was a terrible mistake. When you were watching her from afar with that lust in your eyes, was your love for me still there? Was I even in your thoughts? When you exchanged numbers, did you hesitate at all? When you entertained her conversations, did you think of me, the one who had always been by your side? When you said you loved me, did you know those words would turn to ash the moment you caressed her instead of me? You chose her body over mine, her touch over the warmth we once shared. You laid beside her, waking up in a bed that should have been ours, while I was left alone, waiting for you, believing in you. You left me aching for love, for a connection I thought we had. And each time I reached out, you turned your back. You were saving yourself, your passion, for someone else. You call it a mistake, but mistakes are slips, accidents. How could you love me and do all of that? How was I ever a thought in your mind when you were building something else behind my back? Every word you said, every excuse you gave, only twists the knife deeper. I'm left here, feeling hollow, wondering if I was ever really yours, or if I was just someone to pass the time until your next mistake came along. You said it was over between the two of you, that it was just a mistake, something you regretted. I wanted so badly to believe you, to let go of the doubts gnawing at my heart, but then I received her message. She told me everything, the truth you tried to keep hidden. She said you were back with her, spending your weekends in her bed, not working like you claimed. Every weekend, she said, you were there with her, having sex multiple times a day, building a world you denied existed. All the lies unraveled with every word she wrote. The nights I spent missing you, thinking you were sacrificing for us, turned into nothing but a twisted illusion. You were not working late, not striving for a better future for our family. You were with her, choosing her every time, while I stayed here holding on to a lie. The betrayal wasn't just in the act. It was in every false reassurance, every empty promise. You made me believe I was enough, but all along you were giving her what I thought belonged to us. When you had nothing, I was there. I gave you everything: food, clothing, a roof over your head, so you would never feel the sting of hopelessness. I wanted to be your safe haven, the one you could always lean on when the world seemed against you. But when it was my turn, when I had nothing and needed you most, you weren't there. You turned your back on me, just when I needed someone to catch me. And now, you want me to share what I have left? Hell no. Go back to the one you gave your heart to. The one you promised you'd never abandon. The one you swore you'd be faithful to. Don't you remember? Yes, I have the voice notes. The same girl you took out on weekends while I stayed behind, providing for you, giving you shelter and care during the weekdays. I was your safety net, and you still chose to tear me apart. You took my love, my trust, and threw it away for someone else. I couldn't believe it when I realized you had blocked me, not just from your caller list, but even from WhatsApp. It was never about a dead phone or lost service. You made the choice to shut me out, to deny me even the smallest connection. I tried to reach you, desperately for the sake of our child, but each time it was like hitting a wall you built to keep me away. It was only when I left you that I fully understood the lengths you'd go to keep me in the dark. The day I ended up in the hospital, I had no choice but to leave you a message, letting you know where I was. 10 long hours passed before you even unblocked me. And when you finally replied, you said you were on your way, as if I was some kind of afterthought. Another 5 hours went by before you got home, and by then I knew why. You had to see her first, give her your time and attention. You had to make sure she felt secure, that she knew she was more important to you than that she was the one you truly loved. And even after all of that, when I tried to reach out to you again, it wasn't for me, it was for our child. I thought maybe that part of you, the father part, would understand, would put aside your pride and pettiness, but every message was met with silence, every call ignored. It wasn't about us anymore, but you couldn't see that. I wanted you to be there, if not for me, then for the one person who didn't deserve any of this. Our child deserved better, deserved to know that both parents were there, present, loving, and dependable. But instead, you stayed away, choosing to be absent from the moments that mattered most, leaving me to pick up the pieces alone. Mommy, where's Daddy? Why does he always leave when Friday comes? That innocent question always left me feeling hollow. I had no answer that could soothe the curiosity in our child's eyes, no words to justify your actions. My heart sank every time, and I could only say, ask him when you see him. I can't answer for him. Because how could I explain it? How could I tell our child that you chose someone else when he needed you the most? When you looked at our child, you lied to him without hesitation. You made a promise, and yet when the weekends came, the choice was always the same, her over your son. That question wasn't about me. It was never about me. It was about your child, your flesh and blood. It was about the boy who waited for his dad, who wished for moments filled with laughter and play. Instead of spending the weekends building memories with your child, you chose her. Fridays that could have been spent bonding, telling stories, or even just sitting together became days marked by absence. You lied, looking into those innocent eyes, telling him you had to work. While, in truth, you were miles away, tangled in a life that didn't include him. Our child deserved your love, your time, especially on those precious weekends when school and work didn't get in the way. But every Friday, you left. And every time, the empty space you left behind felt like a void I could never fill. And I knew, no matter how hard I tried, my love alone would never make up for the one person who was missing. Despite everything, again, the words she spoke tore into me like 1,000 knives, her voice dripping with mockery and certainty. How can he love you? She sneered, and I could almost picture the smug smile on her face. He doesn't even make time for you. He doesn't even spend time with your child. He's always on FaceTime with me when he's at work, My heart clenched, and I felt a familiar sting behind my eyes, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of hearing me break. He always calls me, she continued, her voice full of false sympathy. He checks up on me throughout the day and night. You should know that he tells me everything, the nasty things he says about you, how you're always a problem, how he has to escape you. Her words twisted inside of me like a dagger, each sentence plunging deeper into my chest. The image of him, the man I had given my heart to, my loyalty to, speaking such venom about me was unbearable. I imagined all those moments when I had tried so hard, when I had reached out to him even when he shut me out. All of it meant nothing, because the person he was confiding in wasn't me, it was her. It wasn't just the betrayal of the affair, it was the complete disregard of our history, our love, and, most painfully, our child. The thought of him sharing his day with her, laughing with her, and giving her the parts of him that should have belonged to us shattered me. how easily he dismissed our love, how effortlessly he replaced the warmth I thought we had built with a cold and calculated deception. And now she was here, taunting me as if my pain was her trophy. I wanted to speak, to lash back, to defend myself, but the words caught in my throat. How could I defend what he had already betrayed? How could I fight for something that he had so easily abandoned? She laughed then, a chilling sound, and I felt my body stiffen, every muscle tightening against the onslaught of her cruelty. But as I listened, as the weight of her words sank in, something changed. This wasn't about her or about him, it was about me. About the love I had given that was never returned. About the sacrifices I made and the ways I had allowed myself to be torn apart. And in that moment, with her taunts echoing in my ears, I felt something shift within me. Something stronger. Something that refused to let them destroy me any longer. I had suffered long enough. I had endured, sacrificed, and hoped for change. But perhaps now it was time to fight for myself. She wasn't finished, her voice dripping with satisfaction as she twisted the knife deeper. He's with me every weekend when he says he's going to play. Did you really think he was at his friend's house? No, darling, he's in my bed. The smugness in her tone made my stomach churn. I could almost see her smirk as she reveled in the pain she was causing me. She had no empathy, no compassion, just a need to prove that she had what was once mine. And it's always me and him at every event together. She continued, her voice filled with cruel amusement. You should see us. He's always right by my side, smiling and laughing like we're the perfect couple. It's almost as if you never existed. The words echoed in my mind, each syllable heavy with betrayal. I could feel my chest tightening, my breath catching as the full weight of her taunts crashed over me. Every lie he had told me, every broken promise, it all came flooding back in an overwhelming wave of sorrow and rage. I wanted to scream, to lash out, to make her stop, but all I could do was listen as she detailed every betrayal, every weekend, every moment he had chosen her over me. The pain was unbearable, an ache so deep that it seemed to consume every part of me. She knew exactly what she was doing, taking pleasure in my suffering, and for a moment I felt like I was drowning in the weight of it all. But amidst the pain, there was something else, a sense of clarity. This was the truth I had been avoiding, the reality. I had been too scared to face. He had made his choice. He had chosen her every weekend, every event, every lie. And maybe it was time for me to make mine, to stop hoping, to stop waiting, and to finally choose myself, believing he will change and it will work out. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, there came another mistress, bold, confident, and unapologetically cruel. I'm always the last one he talks to before bed, she declared, her words slicing through me like a knife. He doesn't take you anywhere, does he? The things he says about you, it's like he hates you. I can't believe you still hold on, thinking there's love left. I felt the weight of her words sinking in, the anger and hurt growing inside me. She reveled in every jab, enjoying the power of her revelations, feeding off my pain. I could feel my heart shattering once more. The betrayal so deep, it felt like an endless abyss. I've talked to his parents, his sister, and even his son on the phone. She continued, each word deliberately chosen to hurt. We speak all the time when he's with me. I mean, we're like one big happy family. When we go out, he always pays for everything. He spoils me. He even gives me money now and then. I was stunned. Every confession from her painted a picture of a man I didn't recognize, someone who had seemingly given himself to her in every way that mattered. She described his family as if they belonged to her, like she was part of his world now. While I was left with nothing but hollow space where our life together once was. The reality of it all was suffocating. He had brought her into the parts of his life that should have been sacred, parts that were meant to be ours alone. He had given her the kind of love and attention I had always hoped for. Promises that were never kept for me, affection that was never shared. Her words echoed in my mind long after she hung up, her laughter still ringing in my ears. She wanted to break me, to make sure I knew just how little I mattered to him, and perhaps she had succeeded. She continued, her voice dripping with cruel satisfaction. Right now, he's been trying to get me pregnant, she taunted, as if relishing every word. He begged me to have a child for him. The words echoed in my mind, repeating until they felt like a punch to the gut. The air around me seemed to vanish, and all I could do was gasp, struggling to breathe through the pain. He wanted a child with her, after everything we had gone through, after knowing that I couldn't have any more children because of my condition. It felt like a deliberate, calculated betrayal, a knife twisted deep into a wound that had never fully healed. You knew my body could no longer bring another life into this world. You knew the heartbreak I endured, the silent grief I carried every day over the reality I could not change. And yet, there you were, intentionally, purposefully trying to give her something you knew I could never have again. It wasn't just the betrayal of our love, it was an attack on my deepest insecurities, a way to remind me of the part of myself I had lost. The tears came then, hot and relentless, as the pain surged through me. The cruelty of it all was unbearable. You wanted her to have what I couldn't, and you did it knowing it would break me. It wasn't enough that you had betrayed our vows again, or that you had made promises to someone else. You were trying to building the future I had dreamed of, but with her instead of me. The life I had once envisioned together was now a blueprint you were offering to someone else. I felt shattered, hollowed out by the realization of just how little I had meant to you, how easily you had discarded the dreams we once shared. You had always chosen her, always placed her above me, and now you wanted to give her the one thing I could never give you again. It was cruel, it was unforgivable. I deserved more. I deserved someone who wouldn't turn my limitations into weapons against me, who wouldn't exploit my vulnerabilities. I had tried for so long to hold on to what we once had, but the weight of it had become way too unbearable. This was it. It was time to let go of the fantasy I had been clinging to and face the truth that was right in front of me. You never really loved me, and I deserved so much more.
You've been the best of times, you walk me through my darkest days. Why must I turn